Busta Rhymes, nigga, here we go. Flipmode, my niggas, here we go. Neptunes, nigga, here we go. Once again, my niggas, oh my god, man. Busta Rhymes, somebody I absolutely love, okay? We're gonna give Busta Rhymes his motherfucking flowers because he is that nigga for real, for real. Alright? Now I'm starting a little bit at the mid of his career. Middle, like, Busta Rhymes' career is long as fuck. I've said, again, it's funny to me when people are like, I put Busta on my, in the top 10, I think, of greatest rappers of all time. And people are, what do you mean? It's like, come on. What about Vinny Paz? Sorry, no disrespect to me. You know what I'm saying? Or whoever. You know what I'm saying? What about Fabulous? Come on, fam. Come on. Busta Rhymes, man. So, let's start at somewhat of the beginning. But I don't even know where to start with Busta Rhymes because Busta Rhymes' career, like I said, is stupid long. Now, Busta Rhymes starts off with Leaders of the New School. I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't a fan of that shit. It was before my time, and even when I went back to it and tried to listen to it like in the 2000s and stuff. Let me backtrack a little bit. I've mentioned this in like a bunch of videos and things like that, but to me, 2004-ish, when Kanye, Jeezy, and them started to come through and rap and make rap trash, that was when I was like, oh, whoa, what the fuck is going on with rap, right? Like, you felt it. You just felt this super dumbed down energy going on. And that's when I was like, okay, all right, maybe I should start listening to some older shit. And also, it's interesting because that Illmatic 10-year album release came out in 2003. So, again, it's like, I'm also hearing Illmatic for like the first time in full and going like, holy fuck, rap don't sound like this anymore. What the fuck happened? It was like that, it's like that Curtain Matrix shit. You know what I'm saying? Where you're like, oh my god, this fucking, these songs are incredible. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it made you want to dig back. Anyway, so my point is this. Busta Rhymes, when I was listening to like his older shit from Leaders of the New School, wasn't feeling it. The one song I think from Leaders of the New School, if you want to check him out, Case of the PTA, I think, it was okay, I guess, but that shit was just too, it's like a Tribe Called Quest-ish, but not good, you know what I'm saying? Now, Busta did shine, in my opinion. Obviously, you could tell he was freaking talented in that whole, in that whole group. And obviously, when he was on Scenario, he murdered Scenario, so you definitely should listen to that Scenario verse off Low End Theory. Oh my god, yes, oh my god, what up? That's my shit too. Oh my god, it's genius, like, you know what I'm saying? So, Busta Rhymes really shined, in my opinion, when he had that Q-tip and he was kind of associated with them. A little bit less with Leaders of the New School. Again, I mean, no disrespect, maybe I'm just too young, I just couldn't get into it, honestly. So, the Busta Rhymes that I love really starts out from those Tribe verses and then him getting his own solo shit. Because that's the Busta I love. Now, I first heard Busta Rhymes back in 97, okay? So I missed this era, this woo-ha, I missed this entirely, okay? But we'll talk about The Coming. So, The Coming comes out. Again, I wasn't listening to rap at this time, but I can tell you as a person that went back to this, obviously this is a great album. Like, there's some real joints on here. Everything Remains Raw, I loved. Abandoned Ship, I loved. Woo-Ha, obviously this song in particular I love. It's a Party I was never really big on, but I mean, I would hear that joint every now and then, in the mid-2000s at parties and stuff. Wasn't huge on that. Ill Vibe. But got the Ill Vibe, bus. I haven't heard that song in a long time, and I still remember that shit. Classic song. Flipmode Squad meets Def Squad was hard. Still Shining. Still Shining, and then the way JD flipped that shit, oh my god, that beat's nuts. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the most I remember from this album. So this might be arguably Busta Rhymes' best album, you know what I'm saying, if I had to pick one, because there's a bunch of really dope songs on here, but I don't necessarily think that this is like a classic. I think it's just a great album. It's a good intro to somebody. You learn that Busta Rhymes is like, obviously, he's got this unorthodox style, his flow is incredible, like he's just animated, funny, and again, hardcore. And you need these things in rap. You need the person that's comedic. Rap got too serious, you know what I'm saying? In fact, when Busta got too serious, as I'll talk about later, I think that's when Busta started to fall off. And you felt rap falling off. Like, Busta was carrying rap almost single-handedly in that regard. Busta and Missy, you know what I'm saying, in that regard, because it was like, you need that balance, you know what I'm saying? We can't all be hard, right? So anyway, this is a great album, The Coming. Definitely deserves your whole, listen. So after this, now he comes out with When Disaster Strikes. When Disaster Strikes is interesting because this is when I actually knew Busta. You know what I'm saying? You have to remember, one of the first times I ever heard Busta was like, the Hit 'Em High record. You know what I'm saying? Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. You know what I'm saying? I remember like seeing Busta in the video and stuff like that. That was like, what, 96, 97? So When Disaster Strikes, I was familiar. You know what I'm saying? And now it comes Dangerous, right? Dangerous is fire. You know what I'm saying? So this album, obviously, I heard this in somewhat real time, and I love this. This was the song I used to play all the time back then, right? Now, you have to understand, I'm in Saudi Arabia. I'm in the desert. Camel bitches. So I didn't have access to albums like that. But, whenever a song, if that I was able to get access to, because, again, the internet was blocked. There was a whole thing back then, man. But I got access to this song somehow, and I loved it. And then I remember a friend of mine came from the US, I think like a year later, and I think he had the CD. I don't remember listening to it, but I remember seeing the cover, and this cover used to fucking creep me out. Just the way that he looked, on it, like When Disaster Strikes, and you're like, that wild, weird shit. Like, Busta was scary. I think people forget this, right? Like, when Busta's, like, early days, especially for someone like me at that time, like 10, 11, like looking at some of this stuff, Busta was like, it was like kind of creepy actually. So I think that's kind of funny. No one really talks about that anymore. But on this album, When Disaster Strikes, you've got So Hardcore, like Quick Draw McGraw. Fuck what you heard. You ain't heard this before. Love that record. Turn It Up was big. Yeah, that was really big. I remember hearing that quite a bit. I didn't like love it, but I liked it. And Put Your Hands on My Eyes Can See. Now, this song is, first of all, the song's incredible. I still bump this shit because this beat's incredible. The video's incredible. It literally is one of the greatest hip hop songs ever recorded. I didn't hear it in real time. I think the first time I heard this was in the 2000s for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? But I know people who heard this in real time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to live in New York. I got a good friend who, she's from the sty. She heard this in real time. And we've had a conversation about this record. And she was like, you gotta understand, when this shit came out, it was like fucking pandemonium. So when I saw Jerobi talk about this in an interview once, when they were doing like, Complex was doing like a sort of insight into this song, I believe that shit because that's literally what I've been told. Like, and you can tell that beat is nuts. It's like some otherworldly shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the point, like, it came out and niggas was like, again, play that shit again. Play that shit, like, you know what I'm saying? It will fuck with your dome. So that song is stupid classic. Put Your Hands on My Eyes Can See. Love that record. Brilliant. I'm healthy, fear of us. There's too much of us. It's dangerous, so dangerous. She's so dangerous. This is our shit. Hey, yo, listen. Busta Rhymes murdered this motherfucker and unit is dangerous. Come on. Then you have Rhymes Galore. Rhymes Galore. This is one of my favorite Busta Rhymes records ever. No one talks about Rhymes Galore that much. But if you go to some head party, especially back then, you know what I'm saying, back in the days when DJs played dope shit at actual hip-hop parties, you would hear Rhymes Galore every now and then. Rhymes Galore is fire. Dangerous. Yeah. Those are the records that I remember off this. I don't really remember any others. But again, Turn It Up, Fired Up. That was big. So, and now we get to ELE with this beautiful ass beat in the background. So, ELE is the first time I bought this album. I had this album on tape. So I remember listening to this motherfucker. You gotta remember, Give Me Some More, again, one of the greatest rap records, videos of all time. Okay? This song was fucking hilarious. Like, the flow, the beat, I was like, what is this shit? Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Back in the days when rap used to pleasantly surprise you, and unlike now, where it doesn't surprise you at all, and when it does surprise you, it's some bullshit. This shit was fucking fire. I can't talk about this enough. I mean, ELE had some joints. Gimme Some More was my favorite on the entire album. You know, even the Gimme Some More skit before that is hilarious. But again, this was actually a pretty good album. It's been a while since I've heard this. So you let me know if there's any tracks I missed that I thought was dope. Everybody Rise is obviously, you know, one of the standout records. Tear the Roof Off was cool. It was good. I never really loved this record, but I thought it was cool. What else is on here? Obviously, Gimme Some More. Is he wildin' with us? Is they wildin' with us? I used to really like that song. I don't really listen to it anymore now, but I really loved that song back in the day. Parties going on over here. This shit. Again, this was another one that was like, again, when it came out, you were like, ooh. Perfect club record. It just sounded amazing. It sounded like the kind of record you wanted to dance with some hot girl to. Like, it was that shit. It's still a classic. Beautiful song. What else is on here? Take It Off. What's this? I'm trying to remember if Take It Off is a song, because I kind of discovered this song really late. Take It Off had a really like interesting kind of bounce to it too. I think I remember. I like this record. This was hot. This was hot. Yeah, this was hot. So I would say Take It Off was also really good. Obviously, you should listen to that. What's It Gonna Be was a big record. I didn't love this song, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was just a good song. It was a dope record. What's It Gonna Be with Janet. The video was really big at the time. You know, very like, it was some next level shit. Again, hip hop. It was like, that was that era where hip hop was just like really doing some next level shit with their videos. And it was hit or miss, you know. But this one was a hit. I mean, it was really cool. But you could see the money was pouring into hip hop in a way, you know. And again, this is kind of where the seeds, I guess, of it going super, super pop. It was there. You know what I'm saying? This song and then the outro Burial song, that was hot. That was hot. I mean, I'm mad that Busta never spit on that shit. I mean, I think that's disrespectful. But that beat was crazy. That was a crazy beat. So now we get into Anarchy. This is where I think the last like pretty decent album from Busta, even though at the time I remember feeling like I was really looking forward to Anarchy and I didn't like it. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? This is classic. Oh my God. Classic. But you know what? People kind of slept on this album. I think at the time, I remember feeling like, oh, this is not good. And we just kind of, like heads, I mean, I felt like other heads, people I was talking to were like, this is not that great. But in hindsight, it had some joints, obviously. We Put It Down For Y'all is dope. It's a dope beat, man. Swiss Beats, like, it's a weird one, but it's pretty good. Fire. The song Fire. One of my favorite Busta Rhymes records, man. Again, I never heard this I didn't hear Fire in real time, but this beat was nuts, and I thought the song was nuts. In fact, Fire is so good, and I don't know if I've mentioned this in the video before, but it's so good that like I can play that shit. My mom would like that shit because it's just the beat is just, you know what I'm saying? We black, man. You gotta have some fucking bounce to your shit, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just undeniable, man. You know, let's rock that Fire beat. This beat's fucking nuts. Let's go. I wish I'd hear this in the club. I never heard this outside anywhere, but I fucking love this song. So what else was on here that I really liked? Get Out obviously was brilliant. Show Me What You Got. Was that the one? That might have been cool. JD did that. That might have been alright. The Heist people talk about, I never liked this record. I'm gonna be honest, even back then, I never cared for the song, you know, but to each his own, right? And that's it. I don't remember anything else really on this. And there was, for a while, there was this common perception that after this, Busta Rhymes was done, right? Because, and I'm trying to remember why that was the case. Yeah, it's weird because, again, even though all these albums are not classic, there's classic-ass songs on all of them. Multiple. That's what I'm talking about, right? So, let's see. We'll have to continue this. Part 2 coming. As I come back... Alright. This shit is so long with Busta, I had to do this in like 2 videos. Busta Rhymes, nigga. Here we go. Flipmode, niggas. Neptunes, niggas. Once again, oh man. Anyway, so one thing I forgot before I even get into Genesis, because like I said, Busta Rhymes' career is long as fuck, right? I had forgotten that. I didn't even talk about the features because aside from the fact that Busta Rhymes was dropping solo records that were fucking flames, instant classics, I mean, songs, you know? Busta Rhymes was also doing the same in the feature world. Now, there's so many features, I can't get through all of them, but I can start with the major ones, for sure. Flava in the Ear. Of course, Busta Rhymes Murder This, had a good verse on this. Let's not forget about one of my favorites. All my niggas in the place, in the pines, Lee! Busta killed this, okay? Classic record, man. So wild for the night. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. Listen. I mean, look these songs up. The Goodness. Keeping you out. That shit, man. Busta. These are all classic. And again, I'm just running through them, but you should know these beats, and you already know these records, right? And then, of course, the famous Ante Up, which he absolutely obliterated, you know? My niggas rob trains running alongside it, blah, blah. See, mother, we don't pay for that. And if you want your shit back, you have to pay for that. So, you know, Busta Rhymes got classic verses. And again, this isn't like, it's not your run-of-the-mill rapper that just does a verse and no one cares. They were featured on the song and nobody gives a fuck. Twisted. It's not like that, okay? This is like, they basically took the song from the cats. You know what I'm saying? Or at least they were very much on par with everyone else. You know, with the best. So, now, let's get back into the Genesis, okay? As I was talking about, this had a couple of joints. I don't really remember this entire album. I mean, it's been a while since I've listened to all these albums, I would say. And to be fair, I don't necessarily consider Busta Rhymes to be an album artist. You know what I mean? I consider him more to be like, you know, he's good for songs. He'll give you like, in his heyday, he'll give you like 2 to 3 classic, well, I would say maybe 3 to 4. 3 to 4 like superb records on an album. Which is all you need, really. You know, I mean, if you consistently do 2 to 3 superb, memorable, classic songs every project, and you've got 10 albums, that's a lot of songs, right? Most people, like I've said, a lot of rappers don't even have one, like, classic song. Let's be honest here. Some of your most popular rappers, people that you stan, and I'm not saying you know what I'm talking about, but a lot of these guys that you stan out of popularity, they ain't even got one song that, like, everybody who's into hip-hop goes, yeah, that shit was hot. Do you know what I'm saying? They ain't even got one. So to have someone like a Busta Rhymes who's got 2, 3 per album, and they just keep going and keep going and keep going, that's how you become a GOAT, man. So anyway, as I come back on Genesis, obviously, Pasta Kavasi, I didn't really like the first one was whatever, but the second one, obviously, which is why I'm playing this beat, this was like a smash. This wrecked clubs, man. I was there. This was Pasta, leave the girl rolling. This shit, like, you know, the way the video was all wild, and when the like this is a real joint. Break Your Neck obviously is classic, great song. That's all I really remember from this record. So let me move on. Let me see. It Ain't Safe No More. It is what it was. What it is on this album? I'm trying to remember. You know what? Genesis had What It Is, right? Let me see. Yeah. What It Is right now. That was fire. That was fire. Again, it's like 3 to 4 superb songs on here, right? It Ain't Safe No More. Now, we have obviously this classic. I fucking love this record. This is low-key one of my favorite Busta Rhymes records ever. Called The Ambulance. Again, you have to remember, this song came out, what, 2002, right? Basically 2002, 2003. Busta Rhymes had been rapping for like 15 years at this point. Putting out music, pretty much. And he's still making some of his best music. Again, this is the difference between my era and your era, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? By the time you guys come out with one dope song, you're washed. You know what I'm saying? How do you become a legend? It's not by antics and trolling and you know what I'm saying, and popularity and who you're fucking. It's about literally dropping great music repeatedly. You know, you started 15 years ago, 15 years later. That's a whole new set of people that are listening to your shit. Plus the old people, right? Think about it. The people that heard Busta Rhymes for the first time in 2002 are listening to Call the Ambulance like, yo, this song is fucking nuts. Those people weren't around, like I wasn't around when Busta was doing Case of the PTA and all that shit. But I'm a fan now. And that's what I'm saying. That's how you become a legend. Your music transcends generations. Clearly. It's not, you know, you were hot in your day. Like, we know this, but people want to play dumb. You know what I'm saying? So, let's look at what was on this album. Obviously Call the Ambulance. Freaking classic. Make It Clap. That was fire. I Know What You Want. This is a good song for what it is. Just a good kind of club record, you know, real cool. Not something that I listen to, really, but it's still a decent song, you know what I mean? And I think that's about all I remember from this album. I don't remember this album at all. I mean, I had it, but I don't think it stuck out to me. I'm assuming that these albums, like these songs, aside from those, weren't really that great. But again, I'm talking like what? 3 to 4 superb records. Call the Ambulance, Make It Clap, I Know What You Want. Okay, let's just say there were 3 songs worth listening to. That's still 3 classic, great songs. You know what I mean? And then the Big Bang. I'm trying to remember if this is when Busta Rhymes cut his hair off. There was a time when he cut his hair off, and I was like, and we were all kind of like, Anyway, so this is the Big Bang. I also remember listening to this album and not really loving it, but again, there were songs on here that were nuts, right? Touch It, Bring It, Brave. That shit is nuts. Classic, okay? In fact, let's bump that shit right now. This shit's brilliant, man. Hot beat, you know. Used to murder clubs, and again, if you hate on Swizz Beats, kill yourself. Okay? So, New York shit. I actually really liked this song a lot back in the day. I didn't realize that it was a Diamond D. It was basically a flip of a similar sample that Diamond D had done. And the name of that song escapes me at the moment. But anyway, the point is, great song. New York shit was fire too. I like that song a lot. In the Ghetto, I didn't care for. I remember that when it was out, and I just wasn't into it. You Can't Hold the Torch was cool. Dilla, you know, cool song. That was kind of it, you know, that I would say that I actually really liked on this album. I remember the Legend of the Fall Offs song. There was all this hype, and then when it came out, I was like, this is not very good. You know what I mean? Of course, it was, you know, because it was Dre. So it was like, oh, it's Dre. It's gonna be amazing. And I was like, that's all I remember. And I would say from here, this is when I kind of, you know, really, to me, this is where Busta's, like the great potent stuff ends. Everything else after this is kind of like super mediocre, if not downright whack, honestly. I remember back in my bullshit trying to listen to this album, and I was just like, what? Like, I couldn't get through it at all. Respect My Conglomerate, that was boring. Arab Money, as they called it, that was whack. I mean, it is sort of memorable in a funny way, but it's not good. Like, I'll never listen to that song ever. And then there was, oh yeah, Year of the Dragon. This was trash, respectfully. And then, of course, you already know what I thought about ELE2 because I did a video on it. So, like, basically, if you're trying to listen to Busta Rhymes and you want to go through Busta Rhymes' catalog, I think I've given you, like, the most important songs that he's done. I don't think I've forgotten anything in particular. There's a little random shit, like, let me see if I can find a song. Like I said, long-ass career, so there's no way I can cover everything that Busta Rhymes did, but there's this one song Busta Rhymes did with Black Rob that I really liked. This is hard. I've played this before. Facts, get familiar. R.I.P. Black Rob, man. So, you know, there's that. Fire in the hole. What else that I would say? Obviously, Knock You Out with, you know, with Big. He had some songs with Big that were dope. So, you know, Busta Rhymes has done a lot, man. He's done a lot. I mean, look, when I put him on that list, I put him on that list for a reason, man. Top 10, greatest rapper of all time. I think he's in the top 10. Even if, you know, you don't feel that way necessarily, I mean, he's up there, man. He's easily in the top 20, easily, I would say. Somebody that really just, like, really put hip-hop on his back, made great music, and, like, you can't help but like him, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, honestly, like, you see, Busta Rhymes is a perfect example of somebody that is so dope that even a casual can be like, yeah, that shit's hot. And, like, like I'm saying, there's literally Busta Rhymes records that people who don't listen to rap love, and hits love those songs too. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be Put Your Eyes Where My Hands Can See, whether it be Fire, like I was talking about. Like, there are songs that Busta has that people are just like, they're just fire. Period. They're great fucking records. So give Busta Rhymes his flowers. Yeah, I don't like the new stuff he's dropping, but again, you know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? He's earned his place in hip hop 1,000%. So, you know, shout out to Busta Rhymes, a true legend, and definitely somebody that obviously I'm inspired by, and I love his music. I really do. You know, when he was doing it in his day, man, he was, again, just showing you that there's nothing wrong with being creative and being different, because, again, that was what Busta Rhymes was. He was very different. You know what I'm saying? He was very different back then. You know what I'm saying? Even just coming out the gate, and then he continued to just develop his own style and be him. You know what I'm saying? And, like, that's what makes rap great. It's like all these people that have their own thing going on, and they lock in on who they are, and they just continue to, you know, put that out and also build on that personality, right? So when you hear a Busta Rhymes type of flow or verse or something, you're like, oh, that reminds me of Busta or something like that. Because, again, Busta's really put his foot in this game. You know what I mean? So shout out to Busta, man. And obviously to the producers who worked with him, you know, who made the great music that we all love. Obviously the Nottz of the world, DJ Scratch is a big one. You know what I mean? So they all helped construct who Busta Rhymes is. Vibe the Chemist. Is it Vibe the Chemist? But, you know, Rashad Smith, right? There's a whole bunch of these producers that you know, they understand Neptunes, of course, you know, that understand Busta. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, crafted who he was. I always wondered, I would have loved to hear Busta Rhymes on a Primo joint. And I think DJ Premier has talked about this before, but that was, you know, the one thing that I would have loved to hear, you know. But, you know, it's fine. But again, legend, give him his flowers, my man. Peace. Love y'all.